Honorable Kofi Adams is the Minister for Sports and Recreation. Has joined us on the show this morning. Honorable, good morning to you and welcome to Sporty Breakfast.
Good morning, Raymond, and thanks for inviting me.
It's good to see you. Let me tell listeners, Honorable is a bit under the weather, and so pardon him for his slightly droopy voice. It's all part of the job. Honorable, I wish you a speedy recovery.
Thanks for letting the listeners and viewers know that I'm a little under the weather. When you mentioned South Korea, everybody knows that is a cold zone. And for someone who lives in hot conditions like this to just go and appear under such a condition, you surely suffer more. And so I've been under the weather. But let me say a big thank you for the opportunity, for the invitation to share with the people. And exactly that is what, when we say constitutional multi-party democracy, that is what it means. And we live in the world of information. Yeah. And so people given responsibility must share that information with the people they have been mandated to lead. And if His Excellency the President, a year ago today, was declared as having won the elections with a huge margin, a margin that has never been recorded, found it necessary to put me in charge of sports and recreation sector, then it means that I have a responsibility from time to time to share with listeners. And if there is any other platform that you do so, then you must do so on a platform that has dedicated itself 24/7 to have a conversation around the sector that you lead. And people don't understand. That is why I mostly choose to share with you, and not for any reason, it doesn't mean that sometimes we will not have our downs and we will not have our lows. We will have our lows, we will have our downs, but we would have our ups also. And Sporty FM has greatly contributed significantly to the advancement of sports development and sports for development in this country and beyond. And I must admit so.
Right. All right, well, let's start from South Korea, because you just came back from South Korea. You attended the World Conference on Doping in Sport. What were some of the discussions that were had and some key takeaways from that conference?
Well, it's the biggest platform when it comes to clean sports. It started, I'm told, in 1999 that it became necessary for the world to come together and have to unify their doping rules. And doping simply means taking external substances to enhance performance. Yeah. So we expect an athlete to perform. Whatever output we get from an athlete should be as a result of his own normal strength, his own normal muscular strength, exercise, training, and not because the person has added an external substance that gives you a certain advantage, a certain strength that otherwise, under normal circumstances, normal training, you will not be able to perform that way. So the concept of doping or anti-doping is just to make sure that sports is clean, competition is clean and fair. Countries and zones had their own rules until 1999, when they thought that there's a need to harmonize these rules. Since we go for international competitions, we go for world competitions, people will come from the Americas, people will come from the Africas, people will come from Europe, and people will come from Asia, Oceania zone, and so on and so forth. And because the rules were different, when you get to the world level, whose rules will apply? Yeah. So there will be confusion amongst the national anti-doping offices or organizations, the regional anti-doping organizations, and of course the world anti-doping agencies. So there will be confusion. So it became necessary to have this body to harmonize the rules. And since 1999, the conferences of this nature have happened. Then the one we had in Busan in South Korea happens once every 6 years, but it's been reviewed now to happen once every 3 years. But there are other conferences. UNESCO leads some, sometimes have annual and even quarterly meetings and what have you. WADA itself have other meetings, but the one we attended recently that approves rules and codes that will be applied all the way to the National Anti-Doping Agency, like we have in Ghana here. We have Ghana Anti-Doping Agency. They are responsible for issues of what? Doping. Yes. His Excellency the President have just appointed the Chief Executive Officer and the Deputy for the National Anti-Doping Agency. So we kind of approved the codes. We looked at standardization. We looked at the finances, previous expenditures, executive committee rules that they brought for the board's approval. So it was executive committee also met, and the foundation board also met. And I happen to be one of the persons on the foundation board, so I needed really to be there. From Africa, it's Ghana. It used to be Ghana, Egypt, and then I think Tanzania. But Egypt will be ending their tenure in January 2026. So another country has been nominated to carry on. Ghana's tenure ended earlier, but I was given the opportunity to serve another term again, and so we will continue. A lot happened there, and I believe that as the days roll on, the National Anti-Doping Agency, the Ghana Anti-Doping Agency will see through to implement all those things, especially education. You see, most athletes fall foul for lack of education. Some of them do not know that the substance that they are taking, even sometimes medications that may be prescribed, could result in some substances being found in your blood. And that is why we also have what we call therapeutic use exemption list, where if they are giving you those substances recommended, you would have to check and see whether it's on the exemption list and whether you have submitted to your National Anti-Doping Agency for them to look at the prescription that you are being given, so you don't fall foul of the doping rules. So education is the key way to go. So athletes will have to be given so much education for them to have understanding of what doping in sports is, so they don't fall foul of the codes, I won't say law, of the codes and standards that have been set for them to compete under.
Now, how far are we from having our own doping systems restructured? I know there's a doping bill that is in advanced status. How close are we to?
So we've had the bill passed into law. So now we have the Anti-Doping Act, which has been passed. So we're working on the regulation now that will actualize the act that is being worked on. But even before then, there was a secretariat that was leading the charge. But we need to now even move further. Proper budget allocations have been made in the 2026 budget. For example, the National Anti-Doping Agency has been considered in our budget lines, properly so supported with goods and services allocation and other allocations to enable them function effectively. So I believe that in the coming years, we will see a lot more when it comes to doping, especially education and testing. The testing to make sure that at least we standardize our processes. So anytime you go into a competition, you know that the competition is clean, it's fair, it's transparent, not only from the refereeing perspective. Most times we want to talk about, oh, the referee has done this one has done that. We don't also talk about even the athletes themselves also, whether they are under the influence of any substance or not. And especially also as we prepare for the World Cup, we need to be a little bit more serious about issues of what doping in sports. The Olympics will also come up in 2028, the Commonwealth Games will also be coming up. African Games will also come up, and so on. And there are a number of games that will be coming up. Ghana will be hosting the Athletic Championship, African Athletic Championship next year, and so we'll be competing in that also. So many things that we need to do in that sector. But I think that we're going to go very far with the appointment of the first Chief Executive Officer and the Deputy, and the constitution of the Board of Governors also. We will be able to push very, very far.
Now, Honorable, speaking about the World Cup, the draw was held last Friday. Were you able to watch the draw?
Yeah, I watched.
Okay. So let's get into the draw. England, Panama, Ghana, Croatia. I know Ghanaians want to hear your take on. You have been very optimistic about the chances of the Stars. Even spoken about the fact that the Stars could possibly even win the World Cup if things go well. What's your take on
you see,
the World Cup draw?
Football generally in these days have advanced. There is no nation that you describe as, oh, for them, they are they. Yes, FIFA still have this rule of seeding because you would have to play from groups, and so they must arrange it based on some kind of assessment that they have done. That okay, these guys have won this a number of times. They have this level of friendlies that they have played. They have won at their continental level. They've done this. They've done that, and so they use all those things to rank whom the host idea. So they have to seed some teams, but it doesn't mean that the unseeded ones are equally not good and strong. Even those who are still involved in playoffs, they haven't qualified. They didn't qualify through the normal competition within group. They are now still waiting for the next opportunity for them to have playoffs. Some of them still have about a game or two to be very clear that they are joining the other teams that have already qualified. Even they, you cannot exclude them. They have every chance to also make a claim at the World Cup. So the same with Ghana. It's about preparation, the understanding of the game, the discipline that you take to the pitch, and how you execute. That's all that will make the difference. And so I was not really worried about who we meet and who we don't. Well, I wished we meet teams that we are familiar with, like amongst them, England. I'm happy we are meeting them. I'm happy they are in our group. And so it wakes everybody up. It wakes everybody up not because we cannot beat them, but it increases your preparation level. That you come in against a very strong seeded team. But this is a team also that you have played against many of their players either at the club level or at other levels. And so you, to some large extent, you know them. So it's good. It's a big team, but you know them. You have the understanding. Croatia, everybody knows how dangerous they have been at the various World Cups that they have featured. Their game style is every time they come with something unique. And so you must approach such a team not with the mindset that they have a certain style of play, that you go and read them how they played previously, and therefore you go into the game only with that plan. You come against such a team and knowing that your formation may even change. So you, the technical bench, must equally be smart. And luckily we are not coming against Croatia as the first team. So your scouts will do a lot of work for you. Your video analyst in this case will do a lot of, they will gather a lot of information, their previous engagements, and to make sure that at least they prepare you on some of their dangerous moves, and then the players to spot and so on and so forth, and what you should do. But even then, once you are playing them, they are a team that can change their style within the 90 minutes of play, sometimes about 3-4 times. So you'd have to watch. Of course, Panama, not much is known of them. And when you have a team that you don't know much of them also, it becomes a worrying thing. So we are good. I'm okay with the group. All we need to do is to have player discipline. The call-up must be disciplined. We must call up the best, as I've always insisted, that I'm the minister, and so my public comments should be very, very limited. But my position is that I want to back a technical team that will want to position the best for the country.
Right.
I'm not emotionally attached to any player or anything. You would hear emotional comments. Oh, these persons didn't take part in the qualifiers, or they played only one game, or they did this. Those are emotional things. It's allowed. In football, as I always say it, 75-80% is emotions.
Right.
That is why somebody can be playing his game somewhere and losing, and another person is dying in another continent.
Yeah.
It's because we attach emotions to the game. So a lot of it is emotional. But you need to also have the technical capabilities and the right sense of judgment to be able to say that, no, if I go with this, I'll be able to satisfy better the emotional expectation of the followers, rather than maybe maybe you call this person, the person didn't respond in the past, and so door is shut. No, I don't believe in that. I believe that the country must go with its best.
Yeah.
Wherever we find it, the coach has my support. Whoever is responsible for the team will have my support. Mine is to make sure that I join the coach in explaining why it should be A, B, and C. Once he convinces me that this is what he wants to go with. Of course, training, we must make sure that we give them the best of training, and we must give them the best of support. Because if participating in that level for me is not just the kicking of the ball, chasing the ball for the 90 minutes. It does a lot for every country. The biggest gathering in the world is the World Cup. That's the biggest. That's what brings the highest number of eyeballs. Indeed, many countries' activities seriously comes down, and the focus is just on that game. So if you are part of the 48 that will be assembling there, don't see it just as kicking of the ball, 90 minutes play that you are going to do. Even those who didn't qualify will be taking advantage of what happens there. So let's put in as much as we can. The corporate world should come on board. It should not be only government responsibility. No. Government alone has never done it. Government alone has never done sports, and it has succeeded. Government can create an enabling environment. Government will create the foundation. But it is individuals and corporates that makes it happen. The football we enjoy watching in Europe, in the Americas, the MLS, you go to South Africa also, and so on and so forth. It is because the private sector has put in. Government will create the enabling environment. That is what this government is working so hard at doing. Yeah. Whether it is tax incentives, whether it is transparency in the handling of finances and affairs and decision-making process. We want to give the corporate world that. We want to give the fans that. And we will not keep anything away from them. And I, as a minister, will not come and make any promise that I think is just to tease people and make them happy. So people don't like me sometimes because they feel that I'm too frank, I say what is supposed to be and not what they want to hear. But we will have to do that in order to be able to encourage other persons to come on board.
Right. Honorable, let's stay with the support. And talking about support, the Minister of Finance in his last budget declared that some 150 million Ghana cedis was going to be made available for the Black Stars World Cup campaign. Can you take us through a bit of what that 150 is supposed to do? Because a lot of people were alarmed by the number. So
in 2022, when we went to Qatar, the budget for the Black Stars participation in that World Cup was about 14 point something million dollars.
Okay.
That excluded the training rounds that they did. That was about another 1.2 million. So that was what was the basis on which this figure was prepared, considering the management of the dollar and then the CD hovering around 12 and 12 point something. The 150 million should give us virtually the same figure as was used, as was budgeted to be used in Qatar. So, as I sit here, I can say that 150 million may not be enough if we are truly going to prosecute the agenda all the way to the finals. This is because this World Cup is not being hosted in just one country. This World Cup is being hosted in 3 different countries. And even at the group stage, we are already playing 1 game in Canada and playing 2 in what? America. It means that movement in terms of logistics will be more. As compared to Qatar, where it was just 1 country, or in South Africa, it was 1 country, or in Germany, it was just Germany, or Brazil, it was just Brazil. In this case, you are going to be moving. So logistical movement of additional staffs that you are responsible for, not the ones FIFA is taking. FIFA will take care of some cost. So there's FIFA cost. I'm talking about what, as a participating country, you will be responsible for will be more. That's good. Because you'll be moving to Canada in Toronto. After that, you have to move to Boston, and then you move from Boston to Philadelphia to conclude your group stage. Then you move to the round of 32, then to 16, and so on and so forth. So the cost may be more. 2, the unit cost of various head points for which the 2022 budget was done will be higher in America and Canada than it was in Qatar, because a lot of things were subsidized for that World Cup. You will not have the same happening in America, and even if FIFA tries to negotiate and provide what we call FIFA hotels rate, it will still not be lower than Qatar. It will surely be higher than Qatar, because Qatar came in wanting to help the world. So they did a number of things and subsidized a number of things. That will not be happening. So if our agenda is to prosecute all the way to the end, we may be asking for even more. But I'm happy that at least for a start, we have given this baseline support to the team, to enable the team and the technical team, and everybody knows that, look, we are ready. As you work and progress, we would make sure that we get to sort things, to get things all through. So that allocation is for the team.
Okay.
There's not been any allocation whatsoever for sending funds. No.
Okay.
That allocation doesn't even make provision for even me, like a minister, who is supposed to also go with the team, and other ministry technical persons who may have to go with the team. That it doesn't make provision for that. It's just the team.
Okay.
The Black Stars management is. We can, however, make some savings also within. My cuttings that we've been doing, there are still some lines that I've seen there that we could drastically look at, either taking off completely or bringing down the figures that are involved. If we are able to do so through our engagements, then I believe that that allocation, even if the cost of things is high in Canada and America, we can still survive and sail through with that allocation the finance minister has given to the Black Stars participation in the World Cup.
Now, Honorable, you've made calls to corporate Ghana to come on board and support as we seek to make an impact at the World Cup. How far has that call gone? Have you received any support so far? Are they making any pledges?
Well, information has been quite, I must say, scanty for now, because the committees were just inaugurated. I inaugurated the technical committee, and the chief of staff inaugurated the ministerial oversight committee. So the committees are now working. We are actually working virtual. We've not had our in-person meetings yet, and so this week we need to be doing that, and then to harmonize the information that has come. But there's been quite some good interest from some individuals and corporates. Some owners of businesses have shown some interest. So we need to just have a way of harmonizing and making sure that at least there's clarity on what they are doing, who is doing what, and what Ghana is participating in, and what Ghana is going to get out of this participation, and what those who even want to help themselves may also get out for either their businesses or whatever the reason for which they want to support the national team is. So, but it's scanty yet. We haven't had any serious pledge in terms of amount that we are giving this, but there are positive indications, and we will be informing the country and everybody as we roll on. There's not going to be any secrecy at any level. Okay. If this is the support that we got, this is what is going to support the team, this is what is going to support maybe fans to be able to either travel there to watch the game and enjoy it, or whatever condition will be created back at home for people to be able to follow and have a feel of the Mondial. All those things will be made known, and that is why for the first time I recommended the establishment of all these committees, so it doesn't become just the sports minister's decision that this is what I want to do, that's what I want to do. No, when we put heads together, we'll be able to have a properly well-coordinated World Cup participation ever.
Now, Honorable, with the committees that have been put together, so there's one that's a technical committee, and there's one that's an oversight committee. Take us through what each committee is supposed to do, so that it doesn't look like
it's not just these two committees that will work. There will be a number of subcommittees. Okay. There will be a number of subcommittees that will work. The technical committee is made up of chief directors and directors of ministries that we identified as very relevant and critical in the World Cup participation. For example, we see World Cup as opportunity to push our trade and investment even higher. Okay. So you can't do without Ministry of Trade, Industry and Agri-Business, because it's opportunity. The world is gathering. The world will be watching. So how do you take advantage of the gathering of the world in the Americas to sell and convince people that after this World Cup, when you are making decisions as to where to invest, Ghana should be the place to go? Or after this World Cup, we also are preparing this product. As a result of this investment we have done, we will be getting this output, and we are looking for customers. So we are targeting you as one of our customers. So you can't do without trade. Yeah. The world is gathering. People are going to be collecting together, and so many things would happen. You can't do without health. So the Ghana Health Services is a critical component. We have them in there. Issues of security, both at home and whilst even you are there, because during the World Cup, people will gather. Some may even leave their homes just to go to fan zones points to go and watch. Who is providing security? So the Ministry of Interior. Yeah. Fake accounts will be created and money is collected from people, and they will become issues for investigations and what have you. So you need the Ministry of Interior and the security agencies to play a role. So the head there, in terms of the technical head there, is quite critical. So they will see how to coordinate. You talk about Ministry of Finance. We just talked about funding and other things that must be done. Maybe an entity wants to support. The entity needs A, B, C, D to be done. Finance is key, so Finance Ministry is represented. You would have Foreign Affairs, because it's going to be, travels are going to be involved. Yeah. People will need travel documentation to be able to travel to those countries. It's not like maybe within West Africa here or Africa where all you need is to have means of transport and you are going. No, you need visas. So, and when you arrive, you need some protocol arrangement. So the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is key. So the technical heads of that ministry would have to be part, so they can guide the various processes. So this technical committee is made up of these key ministries: Ministry of Tourism, and Culture and Creative Arts, because sports is a major means through which you sell your culture, you sell your tourism attraction, and what have you. The creative arts industry also get a platform to promote themselves through performances that you could do there and through other performances that you will learn from. So the Ministry of Tourism is key in there. Of course, the sports ministry itself is the mother ministry. So these are persons from these and some other backgrounds, sports background, investment backgrounds, have been put together as the technical committee that will give the necessary detailed advice, see that all the I's are dotted where they must be dotted, all the T's are crossed where they must be crossed. Then we have the ministerial oversight committee that responds to cabinet, and because we sit in cabinet also, conversation around our World Cup participation, they would also take it up from there and see to it that every other committee is doing what they are supposed to do, including the technical committee that will deal with sports development and enhancement, teams' technical performance. We need to know friendlies, how many friendlies have been arranged for the team and where. How are we mobilizing to pay for? How are we doing all the technical things that are needed? What is the coach asking for? How can we meet what the coach is asking for in terms of the technical strength? Okay, players that are being sorted for. Is there any need for something to be done? So this oversight committee would also need to be briefed by the technical committee, not the ministerial technical committee that was done, but I mean in terms of the team itself.
Yeah.
So we are going to have a committee that will be responsible for that. That the FA will, of course, lead that process because they are the ones we have given our national team for them to manage for us. So I cannot pretend to know more than them, but I will also be deeply involved because at the end of the day, I'll represent the people directly. So these are the things. There will be a promotional committee, promotional and investment subcommittee. There will be security committee. There will be, of course, transport, accommodation, health, welfare. So many other subcommittees will be done of various sizes of membership. We haven't reached a point where we will know the numbers that should be on each subcommittee and who should be on it. All these will be done, and then they would also start their work immediately. Now that the draw is over, we know where we will be. Everybody has started now blocking space in terms of accommodation and other training facilities and what have you. We too have our people on the ground doing so to make sure that at least we don't lose out.
Right. And this is still the Sporty Breakfast, and you're live on Sporty 106.1 in Accra, 102.5 in Takoradi, and 91.3 in Kumasi. And as always, this is Ghana's #1 sports morning show, the Sporty Breakfast. I'm having a conversation with the Honorable Sports Minister, the Minister for Sports and Recreation. Honorable Kofi Adams is here with us this morning, sharing his thoughts with us on a few very important matters concerning his ministry and the senior national team as well. And Honorable, let's continue the discussion. Let me stay a bit on the fans because once the draw came out, Ghanaians have started dreaming about going to Canada, dreaming about going to USA, And when we get to a point like this, there's always room for people to get exploited. There's always room for people to promise all sorts of things and get people swindled and all. What advice do you have for Ghanaians right about now, as the committee sits down to map up modalities with regard to support for funds and all? What advice do you have for Ghanaians right at this moment that we know where we are going?
Raymond, the straight advice is that don't advance money to anybody in the name of trying to provide you any protocol for World Cup, for you to get opportunity to travel for the World Cup. That's my number one advice to people. My first advice. Advance money to somebody that you know the person is into professional, maybe travel and tour arrangement, that you are doing so because you trust this person, that he or she have the capacity to be able to aid you to have your travel documentation. Not because somebody has told you that we are doing some protocol arrangement and government is going to do this, and so when you give me this, I will be able to put you in or do that arrangement for you. My first primary basic advice to persons. So you don't go and commit your money to someone and later on you will be complaining. The other one is that Facebook, especially Facebook messengers, these days they are even able to clone numbers and do WhatsApp chats and then the rest. But the basic one that people still fall foul for, which is Facebook, is what is worrying. That a Facebook page is created or account is created, and maybe they put a nice image of the sports minister and write the sports minister's name and all the details that you may not even know about the sports minister. They are able to collect it and they put it in here. But they even put your place of birth and schools you attended and everything in there. And then they will go and chat you in Messenger. Then people see that, oh, but this is the name, Kofi Adams is there. The picture is there, so I'm chatting Kofi Adams. Then you say, okay, talk to my protocol officer. Then they will give you a number and do everything with, and they will be on you quickly. If you don't pay, you will lose the opportunity. And people rush and go and make payments. Then later, before they will look for your number, they didn't wait to look for your number to call you then. When they realize that they have been duped. And they will even say that they have been duped. Now they will start putting on other platforms that the minister has duped them or the minister's PA have duped them, when the minister and his people know nothing about that. So I want to advise people to deal with genuine. Look, the ministry have an existing office. The committee have so been announced. Every information will be putting it out there. Okay. That was why I said the last time that if you don't hear it from Sporty FM, then it means that first have a doubt. You must hear it on a respected platforms, not what you read from somebody's page on Facebook and the rest. So Ghanaians who want to go and participate in the World Cup, either to support the national team or just to participate, we all have a right to go. And that is why we have insisted on the countries that agree to host the World Cup that you have to relax some of your rules. Your security is important. Provide that security internally. But you cannot be demanding of fans that want to travel certain deep demands that have this. I may be a sports fan and I may not have any tie to anybody. Yeah. So because I don't have a tie to anybody, and I'm not married, I don't have kids in Ghana here, so I shouldn't go and watch the World Cup, something that gives me maybe joy. America believes in recreation. Yeah. America believes in rights of persons, and right to recreate is a right that must be respected. So you cannot continue to put so much restriction on persons who want to go and watch the World Cup. You must show proof of this, proof of that, proof of this, proof of that. Certain things must be relaxed because the person is not just going there. It's because the game that we all love is coming to your country. Yeah. So we've all been demanding from these countries, not necessarily their embassy, because the American embassy in Ghana cannot on their own make a decision to vary certain terms. It must come from the mother office. It must come from the mother office. So we are engaging, and they are also engaging. Recently, the President of the United States of America made some announcements, which we thought was forward-looking, that they will fast-track the processing of visa application of persons who prove that they have match tickets.
Yeah.
Not flight ticket, match ticket. So FIFA will soon open the site for sale of tickets. I think it's going to go Thursday, the 10th.
Yeah, 11th
is going to. So you can go on site there, buy as many tickets as you want to buy for your games and your family, and that becomes a foundation. It doesn't mean that immediately you have it, you will get visa, no, but it becomes a foundation. So for those who want to, this is the first step. This is the first step. So in the past, maybe it used to be the country is allocated some tickets, and therefore they use that to be able to facilitate. Now changes have come in. So many of those who may be calling on sports minister and the rest that do this for us, do that for us, there's a basic, I don't have funds at this moment to go on and to purchase tickets. Yeah. We don't know the arrangement for bulk ticket purchasing, if there is any, because that was one of the questions that I asked when they introduced that system, that people must prove and must buy from directly from FIFA. Not that you bought from Wanda or Efa or from Raymond. And so I asked them the question, what system are they putting in place such that Raymond alone cannot go and buy bulk tickets and to resell at a higher price? Because when it happens that way, the only other place I can get tickets from is to buy from Raymond. You too, you are saying if I buy from Raymond, you don't recognize it. Yeah. I must buy directly from FIFA. So what systems are you putting in place? So a company cannot go and hijack millions of tickets. So I'm yet to get a proper answer from them. But I do know that we will continue the conversation, and it's been positive so far. And so fans should be assured that what must be done as governments and their representatives when it comes to sports and sports-related matters, when it comes to issues of foreign affairs and diplomatic-related matters, we are doing everything possible to make sure that we have an enjoyable World Cup, and fans who want to go, who have the means to be able to go, there's a facilitation to help them attend. Now,
Honorable, let's talk about infrastructure. You've been touring a couple of facilities ever since you took charge. Last time you were at the Esipon Sports Stadium. What's the plan? What's the plan for the renovation of that facility?
Well, the intentions, if you see clearly from His Excellency the President, is to try and have as much as possible sports infrastructure dotted across the country, so that talents cannot sit only on the how do you call it, media platforms, or you cannot only have the talent just on paper. The talent you have, you must execute it on the ground. And the field on which you play, the infrastructure that you use for training matters a lot. It matters how far you can go and how low you can stay. So the President has every good intention and structures in place for infrastructure development. This year, budget now was presented last year and into further reviewed this year, did not make provision for capex as far as our ministry was concerned. Okay. We were given 0 cedis for capex. So we only had provision for goods and services and also emoluments, compensation, salaries. So we did not have any allocation whatsoever to do any infrastructure. So the renovations that we did for some of the facilities to make sure that our teams kept playing at home and the rest, came out of either some arrangements that we did internally with companies to help, or from our goods and services budget, we were able to push through to get some works done. However, for next year, we've had some allocation of 270 million Ghana cedi for infrastructure. Amongst the key ones that we would have to do is to have some mini stadia located in 3 regions that do not have any at all for the meantime. And when we say mini stadia, it's not a stadia that are so big. Like, for example, if you go to Hohwe today, the Hohwe United team is playing their league games in their field.
Yeah.
That's a mini stadium. It's useful enough for even premiership games. We don't need a stadium for like a CAF higher level competition big. No, we need a facility that will not be so expensive for the local teams in that area to be able to use. Because if you go and build a big facility also, if you don't take care, the Division 1s, Division 2s, Division 3s, which are dotted across the country, cannot even hide those venues and pay to use.
Yeah. So
the idea is to start with facilities that are easily available and could be utilized by the division 1, even up to Division 3 and Premiership. So we want to do these ones, about 3, located in regions that do not have any at all. We need to give them such facility. Then we also will want to continue with the AstroTurf projects, but this time around we want to also introduce natural grass system and improved it slightly. We can't continue, even if we have to do the synthetic grass or what have you, what we have come to describe as the AstroTurf or what we call it. It must be of high quality. It must not be something that will be injurious to the players, the athletes, when they use it. We also, this infrastructure that we are talking about as mini stadium will come with other facilities for athletics and other sports like volleyball, basketball, and what have you. So it's not just going to be football only. So that's going to be the difference, because we want to, ours is sports, not just football. So next year, we would go to have some of this infrastructure comes up. So athletes, for example, will have tracks, proper tracks to train on, not to be running and then you are doing 100 meters and you are doing on undulative surfaces with potholes all over. You want to complete a 100-meter race in a certain short time. You are also minded about where your feet is hitting, because there are holes if you don't take care. So it surely will delay your performance. And so we want to improve this infrastructure also.
Now, Honorable, there hasn't been too much talk about the youth resource centers that were started by the previous government. Are there plans for some of these facilities to be fully operationalized?
Yes, there are plans. And you know that those centers were funded from the allocations from the District Assembly Common Fund to the National Youth Authority. That was the funding source upon which the idea was consummated for the construction of those youth resource centers. Albeit so much is owed to the contractors and not much commitment was shown. Now that the National Youth Authority is no more under the Sports Ministry, it's been moved to the Youth Development and Empowerment Ministry. And so that funding has also moved with them. Okay. So it is no more. That is why you don't hear my conversation so much around it. But the intention is a matter that we have raised at higher level. Okay. Whether government should look for some new funding source and take those projects off the National Youth Authority and put them under the Ministry of Sports and Recreation for completion, or let the Ministry of Youth Development and Empowerment know that this funding source is intended for the completion of this. So complete them, and when they are completed, they are handed to the Sports Ministry to manage, because these are basically sports facility. There are more sports facilities than any other thing. So the idea was to utilize the funds allocation from the Disassembly Common Fund to the National Youth Authority, because at that time it was Ministry of Youth and Sports. Now it's Sports and Recreation. So we need to look for a new funding model if we want to keep the development of those infrastructure under the Sports Ministry, or we insist that the Youth Development Ministry completes them, because it's supposed to be completed over a certain budget cycle. Though we have long passed that time and funds were not allocated, let's find the funds, finish it, and then hand it over to the Sports Ministry for management.
Well, the budget for 2026, we know, compared to the previous budget, has quite a bit of money in there. Are you satisfied with the budgetary allocation this time around compared to what you received in the last year?
Well, clearly speaking, if you sit at the Sports Ministry and you know the levels of expenditure that goes on there, you would straight away say what you have been given cannot do even half the work that you are expected to do. But the question is, if you did this with just what you did this year, with just 65 million allocation, then if you are giving over 500 now, then you should know that you will be able to do a little more. Okay. And so I'm happy for that. But it doesn't mean that it means that kumbaya, everything has arrived and you are able to do everything and everything. We would manage. We would be able to do something. Take, for example, the original, I would say original idea of that I had of big stadium. If you take the TNA stadium in Takwa, for example, at the time of construction, it was a little over $15 million. I asked the same people who did the stadium to work out what it will cost now to construct and add tracks, running tracks and those things in, and then a multi-purpose court for volleyball and basketball. It came to, they give me figures of about $22 million. If you change $22 million to cedis at the current rate of even 12 cedis, then you are talking roughly about 250 million or a little more thereabout. So if you are given 200 million to build 3 mini stadia, so straight away you know that you are not going to get the TNA type. Yeah. That was why in my earlier conversation I was linking you to what it is that we are going to be doing in terms of those 3, the type of stadia that we'll be working on. It doesn't mean that we do not have intentions to build 1 or 2 bigger size stadium. There are plans to build a 60,000 capacity Olympic stadium, hopefully here in Accra again, and then build another big stadium elsewhere also. This is because we need to be aiming at bigger events that can, a facility that can take 60,000 or more when expanded. And so we have those plans, but that will be done on a PPP kind of arrangement, and so we're going to be working on that. In terms of big stadia, we already have quite a number that I think that renovation or refurbishment is what should be the whole idea to do. We should refurbish Babayara beyond what we are doing now. We should refurbish, finish Esipon. We should be able to do Aliu Mahama Stadium. We should be able to deal with Cape Coast, deal with TNA. My only worry is that FIFA is coming up with some rules. I hear they have already approved, endorsed, that you cannot play FIFA-approved football games in a stadium that have running
athletics ovals,
tracks. Yeah. That have athletic overs. You will not. So it's something that CAF, I was thinking that CAF should take a strong position on against, because You superintend over countries, many that do not have the resources and cannot construct stadiums, separate stadia with athletic tracks and other stadia without, like we have for Accra sports stadium. It means that you have to do those types for football only, for FIFA sanctions, so you may have to have 2 or 3 of that.
Yeah.
If you ever dream of hosting FIFA approved events for football, you must have 2, 3 or 4 of the Accra type of stadia without tracks. And if you want to also promote your other sports, including athletics, you have to have the ones like the Cape Coast ones, and then the rest also, a number of them. Do we have the logistical base now to do all that? So FIFA must go slow on those arrangements for us.
Honorable, do we have, are we owing members of the technical team members of the Black Stars or even the Black Stars players? Do we have outstandings that have to...
We don't owe any player any amount of money beyond the arrangement that was put in place, that their winning bonuses, they receive 50% when they win, and then the remaining 50% will be paid when the country receives some allocation from FIFA for qualifying. So now that we have qualified as a country, it means that for 8 games that we won during the qualifiers, we owe the players and the technical persons who so qualify for bonuses, we owe 50% of that. Okay. And those payments, as per the agreement, will be done when FIFA makes due their initial commitments to the participating team. That is yet to be done. So once it is done, we'll make those payments. Salary, we owe a number of months of salaries to some technical persons and coaches that we pay salaries, like the coach, the assistant coach, they receive salary. The rest, we don't pay them salary. So, but the head coach, for example, is paid 50% of salary in advance at start of year, and then the remaining 50% is paid along the line. So the head coach is owed only 50% of his salary over the months that we owe him. The 2 assistant coaches are owed full remuneration for the period because their contract specified differently. The goalkeeper's trainer is also owed. Yeah. And so then the Black Queens coach is owed. And I think these are the only coaches that we are responsible for. But we would meet with the FA to also know, because we do know that some sponsorship have also come in. And in the past, salaries have been paid from sponsorship. We know KGL funding of 20 million over a period is there. The KGL funds have been used in the past also to pay especially the Black Queens coach, and so the arrangement should not be any different from now. So we'll be meeting with the FA. We'll also look at the MTN funds that have sponsorship that have come in, how much of it has come, and what can be committed to pay the salaries of these coaches. So once the FA returns in full from the draw that they participated, it will going to be one of the meetings that we would have to organize, because the senior national team is not the property of the federation. It's the property of Ghana. So any sponsorship that arrives as a result of the national team should be managed under the financial rules of the country. And once that arrangement existed before they coming into the power of John Dramani Mohammed's administration, we don't think that anybody should take advantage of changing government to try to change the ways that we have done these things, especially that the for example, the MTN funding was not available, sponsorship was not available for some time. Now it has come in. So that has become an additional stream of funding. And so we should be able to clear this out as quickly as possible.
Right. I know government provided, or it was communicated that government provided support for this season's Ghana Premier League.
Yes.
So far, are you impressed with the work that has been done so far? Are you impressed with
Well, there are still challenges that confront us in terms of quality of game and player retention, and because part of the idea was to be able to retain as many players as possible. But some clubs are still in good business of just parceling good players and sending them away, and others have not held due the remuneration of their players. Because, Chief, if you look at the past, sometimes you play your whole league, you don't get any sponsorship. The winner gets just about $1 million or $2 million. I don't know.
No, it's in the thousands.
Or about 500. 500. The highest I think was about 500,000 for the winner. And you have a situation where, before start of league, 1 million Ghana cedi is given to you, and you still come up with the very same problems and challenges that confronted you when you were getting nothing. When the winner of the game was getting 500,000 Ghana cedi or less, I'm not satisfied. And I think that there's a lot of room for improvement for some of them. Some are doing quite well. I heard one of the teams that the players were threatened to boycott the games. They managed to resolve it as quickly as possible, and they are back. So I'm happy for that. But things like this should not happen. They should not happen. We want to see some improvement. We want them to take advantage and build strong fan base also. See, don't take your fans for granted. Don't make it look like, oh, we are playing. They are the ones who enjoy the game also, so it doesn't matter. No, the fans are part of the games. So take it as a serious department and develop a proper fan base and fan engagement. Because if you do that, look, Chief, even if the fans agree that we are going to commit 5 or 10 cedi every month to supporting our club, beyond the home game tickets that we will buy and away that we may follow, if they are going to commit 5 to 10 cedi, and you have a fan base of just even 10,000 fan base, serious fan base, and they are contributing 10 cedi, that means that every month you are getting what? 100,000. Every month you'll be getting 100,000. Yeah. So I want to encourage clubs to work, to recruit people to properly build a 10,000 fan base. This is minus the big ones like Haas and Kotoko, and those big ones, they can deal with hundreds of thousands. They have the capacity to do so. But even the smaller ones, start with 10,000 dedicated fan base. That will agree that, okay, every month we are contributing 10 cedi before your order. So that is 100,000 Ghana cedi to you every month.
Yeah.
So if your league will be played over maybe a 5 months or 6 month period, that will be another 600,000 that will come to you as revenue before the other sources. So as you do it, you build on. These 10,000 that you have now, that you started with, tell each of them to recruit one more.
Yeah.
Then when you dedicate and improve the 20,000, tell each of the 20,000 you to bring one more. So that is how clubs in Europe and the rest have built their bases. Let it come with some incentives. Get some businesses. Look, we went for a program where a car washing bay was sponsoring a team because they had a system in place where anytime the club won, the washing bay says, we wash cars of fans for half the price.
Okay.
So they were also getting businesses to do.
Yeah.
And part of the money that they make there, they also use it to support the club. And when people go to wash a car for 50% less when the team wins, they are likely to go back there again to wash for the full price because they have seen that person associate with their club. So if today you've won and I go and wash my car and I pay 5 cedi, the likelihood of coming there again maybe 2 times before another game and pay 10 cedi, which is full, is high. So they have an arrangement that they support the club. So let's look at all these things and crack our brains. The marketing unit of various clubs must really crack their heads.
Honorable, finally, somewhere in November, we received reports that the president had ordered the Auditor General to conduct a comprehensive forensic audit into the organization of the 13th African Games. And according to that report, the details of the investigations, or they were given up to the second week of December to present audit findings to the president. How much work has the Auditor General done, and how close are we to meeting this deadline, if you have any information on that?
Well, I bumped into them a couple of times, and I asked them. They keep indicating to me that everything was going well. I'm yet to get a draft report from them, and so I would not want to comment so much on that. But I'm happy that the president did order for the forensic audit, because seriously speaking, so many things went wrong with the organization. You meet individuals who are involved, and this one is pointing accusing finger at this one is pointing accusing, meaning that they themselves admit that certain things were not done right, and people outside are talking. And every day I keep receiving requests of people threatening to sue for non-payment of this, for rendering this service, and they haven't paid. Meanwhile, there's no money sitting in the accounts as far as all that is concerned. At the African level, AUSC also, we haven't paid our commitments. They are also demanding of us, because we signed an agreement to pay some $1.65 million to host those games. We paid only 800 and something, and the rest we haven't paid. We were using Takashi and Patapa that we will not pay because of what. You can't deal with diplomacy that way. Ghana is a very highly respected country. Luckily, of course, we've had it captured in the budget. Our budget estimates now that when we get money, we would have to make that payment, because other countries are looking up to you, and you decide that you will not pay. Tomorrow, if they also learn from you and also decide that they will know how you're going to have the African Union and sports African Games function. So it's not the right way to do things. I'll wait for the draft report. Of course, I didn't authorize it, but as sector minister, I will surely have an in into what it is that they have found, the issues that mattered, items that were procured, where are they? During the All African Games, we procured so many things, including huge cooking utensils and what have you. Where are they? You can't even see one now. So there are so many things, furniture and a whole lot of things. So I'm even interested in also the draft report to find out whether the auditors were able to follow through all these things, or they just even looked at the document. So post these, if such areas were not also covered, we will demand for further work to be done. Accountability is primary in everything that we do. When given the opportunity, you must make sure you account. That is why me as minister, I don't allow anyone to push me to do things that may not be right, because tomorrow you will be called to come and answer.
Honorable, we would like to thank you for your time on the show this morning. Despite the fact that you are heavily under the weather, you still took time off your busy schedule to speak to us. Your final word to Ghanaians before?
Well, I wish to thank Ghanaians. I wish to thank them so much for the opportunity that they gave the NDC, and through electing His Excellency John Dramani Mahama and a number of us into Parliament. A year ago today, there was so much celebration across the country, and I believe that their decision has been justified. We have lived, try as much as possible to do what it is that we said we want to do. It's not 100% done yet, but we continue to need your prayers. If prayers work, His Excellency and his team needs your prayers, because we have good intentions. But we need your prayers to strengthen us to continue to be on the path that we are on. The senior national team needs your prayers. The women's team also went to England and faced their Lionesses, their counterparts there, and did very well. We didn't win, but I think that it was a respectable performance. We will continue to see improvement. Very soon in the course of the week, into next, the Youth African Olympics will be happening in Angola, and our teams will depart also, and we do hope that they would also come back with some laurels. It's been quite positive on the sports ecosystem through the support of Ghanaian fans and generally also funders. And so we want to ask for more. They should continue to do it. And let me also specially thank my constituents for the confidence that they've always reposed in me. We haven't done everything yet, but at least the path is very clear. You could see that leadership is taking steps to do what has been denied our constituency for a very long time. And so I thank them also for the support. May God bless us. May this year end well. May next year be even greater. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Kofi Adams, for your time on the show this morning. And we have been speaking to the Honorable Sports Minister for Sports and Recreation, Honorable Kofi Adams. He's the Member of Parliament for the Buem constituency. He's taking time off his busy schedule to talk to us this morning on a few matters. Black Stars, Ministry of Youth and Sports, infrastructure development. He's been speaking to a lot of issues on the show this morning. Honorable, we thank you for your time, and hopefully would be getting Minister in a bit more often to bring us up to speed on the work of the committee as far as preparations for the World Cup is concerned. I know Ghanaians are very interested in the World Cup, so hopefully we'll be giving you more updates as the plans sink in as far as Ghana's participation at the World Cup. But Minister is very optimistic that the Stars will go to the World Cup and do well. Minister, that's correct?
Sure. Sure. We did well at the group stage, and we cannot do otherwise. I've seen some little forecasters that says that this and that, but I believe that the team will do well. We have what it takes. It's not as strong as we had in maybe 2010 or before, but I think that individually we have skillful players. The coach should be able to work out turning it into a team of players that will play very well.